This is Dr. James VOND speaking, otherwise Dr. James VOND Dutch in full, and today's date is Wednesday, the 10th of December 2025, and it's also United Nations Human Rights Day today, which is observed annually every year on this day, the 10th of December. And on that topic, I'd like to mention something about some facts that I mentioned in my previous videos, my annoyance in particular regarding Coventry courts and the justice that I haven't received, and the draconian courts in Coventry in particular. And I want the whole world to know about them, how nasty and evil they've been, and ruined my life many times over. The diktats and totalitarian regime type of court officials there. And I've also got to mention that before I was even in a relationship and living at my old council house where my mother used to live, that's on Vine Street, which was seized. Before I was living at that around the late 90s, in particular 1998 onwards, I've got to mention that I was summoned by the Coventry Magistrates Courts, and I'm not going to let them off the hook either, 5 times, just for an act of graffiti on the Vauxhall Brandish wall, which used to be there on Vine Street. That was actually knocked down and turned into a student cycle works accommodation later on. But the old building, there used to be a Vauxhall Brandish dealers there, and I put on the wall in paint, "Spy Pigs Out" in big letters with paint. And one of the neighbours actually came out and maybe grasped me up or something. And as I had to pay a court fine, and I was summoned 5 times to appear at the Coventry Magistrates Court. That's how nasty they were. Just over that sort of incident, just over painting. Obviously, I was annoyed, and at the time, obviously, that's if you can recall, when they started the ambient background noise from their surveillance, just to remind people that they're watching people internally and through covert means. And obviously, that's an invasion of your privacy. Obviously, that's your fundamental human rights that's been violated. So it's a very poignant reminder mentioning it today as well, of all days. And I can remember around 6th of December, I think it was around 2000 when it started anyway, millennium, after the fuel crisis. I think it happened around then, just after the fuel crisis. That's when they turned on the background noise, just to remind people that they're watching them, covertly, clandestine operations, in other words, taking place. And whoever's authorized them, whether they're a special branch or whatever they call themselves, or just, ordered by the police or something, whatever they are, whatever organization they are, MI5, NHS, they've all got those, stealth technology methods of bugging people. And I'm no bugger, by the way, but they bugged me certainly, and many other people probably as well. It might have been mass surveillance or specifically aimed at certain types of profile type of people. I'm not going to get into that, but anyway, and out of annoyance, I did put the words out, "Spy Pigs Out," and in paint, and I was summoned, and I also paid a court fine. And that's the Coventry Magistrates Court for you. That's what they did to me. Horrendous, obviously. And then the other incident I had with the courts in Coventry concern more recently the Coventry Crown Court. They summoned me obviously as well, and I had to turn up there. But when I was arrested for going back to my family where my kids lived, and the Coventry Family Court were responsible for issuing those orders through my ex-partner's vile means. She did that twice to me, getting those molestation orders out to evict me from the family and my children in particular. In 2008, she did that, and then we reconciled after a year. and got back together, and I had another kid, another child, and thought that would never happen again. In fact, it did happen again in 2016 April, and I actually doubted those orders, and I actually came back and obviously naively just wanted to check up on my kids and take some of my valuables and go back home to my mother's house. That's what I would have done. That's where I was told I could live, incidentally, and she just picked up the phone, and I've mentioned this in my previous video. That's what a Coventry family court did to me. They ruined me with those molestation orders, ruined my family life in particular with my children, and I've never been able to raise my own kids here because of their direct actions, and they had no regard for my rights as a father. They were exclusively just aiding one particular partner. That's the mother of the children, who was trying to court me through their vile machinery, that armed them to the teeth and evicted me from the house, from the family house, and then I was told I could go back to my mother's house, and that's where I lived until she was snatched out of the house, and obviously I was made vulnerable and rendered almost homeless overnight when that happened. She was removed from the house on the 24th of November 2021 and taken out and put into care homes and never returned. That's what led to my homelessness ultimately, because they never returned her back. She was the main tenant responsible for paying the rent there under her name, and I did argue for them to put the tenancy agreement in my name. They never did that, and I've mentioned this in my previous video. And as a result, I was rendered homeless and forced to sleep rough in my car. That's Coventry County Court, who seized my house, the council house. So they've been also responsible for vile acts, and that's the most recent, obviously, the Coventry County Court. And prior to that, it was Coventry Family Courts, and they actually issued the molestation orders, which removed me from my children, and so they're responsible. Twice they've did that. There's, stuck on the previous notes. There was no incident of whatsoever in 2016. No action between me and my ex-partner. They just stuck on the notes from 2008, and she didn't actually seek a divorce or anything like that. But proper means, the civilized way of doing things. But she went through mean methods like that, just to evict me, and it was no laughing matter over here. Put it that way. They had no regard for my rights as a father, and I became an internally displaced father in the city of my birth, in fact, and also my kid's birth. And that's what they did. They sided with her, and she wasn't necessarily born over here, but from a different country. But they sided with her. She took the action, and she removed me twice. And there's no way I'm going back to her again. And then it was a Coventry Crown Court that got involved as well. When obviously, when I was sentenced for Section 20 GBH, they were rather harsh, very harsh, giving me a 3-year sentence. They didn't need to give me a 3-year sentence. They gave me the maximum. Virtually, they could have reduced it to maybe say 12 months or at the most, or instead of 3 years. That's really over the top, and they didn't need to imprison me whatsoever. That's very over the top, and like I said, everyone agrees with that. And they had COVID later on, and with COVID, they had people locked up in their own homes, and they could have did that with me as well in those days when if we're going back to see my kids, they didn't really need to do imprisonment, and waste all that money locking me up, and that's all they are. A bunch of chastisers and punishers, jailers regime up here, and also the police cells I've been in M1 in particular. The amount of times they used to lock me up there, not only for that paint incident which started it off. Obviously, they locked me up for that, and I was summoned 5 times. Like I said, that's the most earliest form of incident, and that was like I said, the Coventry Magistrates Court, and I was summoned there 5 times, and they asked me stupid questions like, "Do you watch EastEnders?" How thick can you get? They're morons or what? What's that got to do with the offence? And obviously they must have been talking about Vauxhall Bridge or something, innit? That's all I can assume. MI5, MI6, they're both on the the old Vic on that the River Thames, the classic scene when the EastEnders starts. You can see that River Thames flowing through, and on that that's where they are located, the MI5 and MI6, of course. That's all I can assume. There's something to do with that, or the old Vic, and there's obviously that sort of thing, and obviously that annoying noise in the background, and that's still going on today. Obviously, it hasn't stopped, and like I said, I can point fingers, but obviously it's only likely to be MI5, NHS, or special branch. That's what they call themselves. So it's only those sort of people that got that stealth technology, covert, and even like you got the old TV programs, the spooks that used to come on. That's the classic examples of MI5 operatives working in fictional manner on TV. And then you've got obviously CI5, the TV shows that used to come on, Bogey and Doyle. Remember that one? Those ones, they work for CID police. That's CI5. So I'm obviously not going to go into individual operations who are doing the clandestine operations, but certainly it's annoying, and it's still annoying. Obviously, people have become numb to that, almost like the Stockholm syndrome, if you can recall, where they had apathy and appeasement towards the hostages, people who take the kidnappers, and that's what you are, in fact, when they're doing that to you, bugging you like that. You're basically hostages, if they're bugging you like that. So it is kind of similar to that psychological effect. Obviously, initially it caused a lot of people to get very severe sort of reaction towards it, very severe annoyance, and some people even went up the roof and investigated and fell off and died. Like, for instance, ventriloquist Rod Newman. Can you remember that one, the Rod Newman show? I think it happened around then when he must have thought it's something to do with the antenna on the TV or something, and he must have been trying to establish the cause, and maybe it was something to do with the antenna or the roof or something, and he obviously fell to his death. But that could have been, they might have caused many deaths out there, initially when that mass surveillance background noise was turned on. And I can't really give cases of that myself personally, but they must know about that. Certainly, initially, when people, end of the day, they couldn't do anything about it. They obviously don't want to lose their houses. And some places, people were burning their houses, in Australia and places like US, when that background noise was turned on, that surveillance, secret surveillance noise. And this is around the time of 9/11 as well, not just the fuel crisis. That was also coming up. And after that, they used excuses like that, war on terror and things, to bug people like that to oblivion. And you've seen that film, The Conversation, and he says, "My name is Harry Cole." Remember at the end when he strips his house down and breaks it down, and then he plays the saxophone. In some cases, people were reacting like that when they couldn't find out what's going on, how it's going on, how the COVID surveillance is taking place. Obviously, they're professional experts doing this, and they're doing it to civilians, of course. And obviously, that's what I'm saying. Most likely, they're military or police, those sort of organisations, and with professionals like NHS working with them, and so obviously that surveillance that's going on, covert surveillance operations, and that was very annoying. That's what led to my first incident. Obviously, the paint on the walls, and even to this day, that had repercussions. The paint incident, and also the background noise, to constantly remind people that they're here, watching you secretly, in your own privacy, and invasion of your privacy as well. And that's what they've been doing all along. And it is Human Rights Day today, and this is why I'm making this video. And just to mention, the draconian courts in Coventry, they're all to blame for ruining my life. Every single one of them. Coventry Magistrates Court, Coventry Crown Court, Coventry Family Court, and Coventry County Court most recently, for my losing my house, taking my house, seizing in my house. The Citizen Housing Group took that away from me through their actions. So I want the whole world to know how evil they are, and dictators they are in Coventry, and the courts here in particular, the police courts, whatever you want to call them, they're bastards.